Chip, welcome to BetMGM tonight. And straight out of the gate, selfishly, as an Illinois season ticket holder and graduate of that fine institution, I live 15 minutes away. Do you believe the number 12 ranking that came out yesterday in the coaches' poll, Tide Illini, is justified? Right now, they are plus 500 at BetMGM to make the college football playoff. Do you see it happening? And $100 into your pocket if you respond with yes.
Well, yeah, of course I see it. But look, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the playoff proposition is the one that gets a little bit tricky and a little bit interesting because 5-1 is really like if you think about it like this. Do I think Illinois can be the fourth best team in the Big Ten? Yes. Like unequivocally, yes. Like the only question we have is who replaces Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant, but the offensive line is loaded. Luke Altmaier has just continued to get better. The defense is set. There's a real confidence within that building of what they can do so that it wasn't just, winning close games. Now we're going to get to regression. So do I think that Illinois can go through its schedule and finish, more or less as the fourth best team in the Big Ten? Yes, I do. But here's the question. Do you think the Big Ten gets 4 teams into the college football playoff? And that's where that plus 500 might be a little bit tougher. Is it going to be a year where Illinois finishes on top of a dog pile there in the standings and it's just an Ohio State, a Penn State, and Oregon have kind of separated themselves in the eyes of the selection committee? It's going to be tough. I mean, as you know, as a supporter and a season ticket holder, it has not been common for Illinois football to stack good year after good year. You peak for a little bit, you get big expectations, and then can't always stick the landing on the other side. I think Brett Bielema can. I think Brett Bielema will. But, in terms of the futures wagers and the futures market, that Illinois to make the college football playoff, I've had very smart people say that they have that ticket, and they're like, I think they can be the fourth best team, and I think the Big Ten gets 4. I love Big Ten football. I will tell you that I don't know if the Big Ten's definitely going to get 4 teams in the playoff.
Chip, let's actually stay in the Big Ten, man. And, Penn State, I keep saying the same thing. Like, if James Franklin doesn't at least make it to the championship game this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen. They steal Jim Knowles from Ohio State. I love that hire. Even though they lose Abdul Carter, I don't think the defense really takes a step back. They bring back Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton. I like Drew Aller more than most. I know that he had a bad performance in the college football playoff game, but now he has receivers that could actually create separation. I know they lose Tyler Warren. Would that be your pick, Penn State, in the Big Ten? And how deep do you think that they could go this year? Because I really do like this roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think Penn State can win the national championship. It will take Drew Aller playing better against the best opponents because Drew Aller against top 15, across his career as a starter, it's like 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Against everybody else who's not a top 15 team, I think it's 43 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean, I know that in some ways that's a little bit simplistic. Well, the tougher games might not be the best results, but it also backs up what my eyes tell me is that he looks really different when he plays, when he plays Maryland than when he plays against Ohio State. So he's got to be better, and I think that he knows that. Actually got a chance to speak with Nick Dawkins, who I love, the center, offensive lineman for Penn State. And Nick's just like a great conversation, great insight into the team. And he said, you think about all the pressure that Drew is under, and he was acknowledging how much pressure Drew is under to get better. He goes, I promise you it's nothing compared to the pressure he's putting on himself. That could be good, that could be bad. Read into that how you want. But I think there's a real motivation behind this Penn State team. I mean, think about Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I don't know. They weren't going to be first-round picks. They weren't going to get taken before Marion Hampton. But they could be in training camp right now with a good chance to make an NFL team. And they're not the only ones. There is a group of players on this Penn State team that decided together we're going to come back, on some unfinished business type stuff. And you know who else had that? 2023 Michigan. You know who else had that? 2024 Ohio State. I really think Penn State, with its experience, and with kind of that extra edge motivation of getting the taste but coming up just short and knowing what you can do to improve, be a better finisher, have pass catchers that aren't Tyler Warren. It's not just a motivated team; it's a motivated staff. I mean, it's a motivated administration. Like, if you want to say now or never, or if not now, then when, I totally get it, because they haven't had a national championship that is undisputed and not shared since 1986. That's 2 generations. This is a true Haley's Comet type year for Penn State football. So yeah, I think that their ceiling is winning the national championship.
Completely agree, man. I think they win the Big Ten, and then I think they got a real shot to win the playoff. What about the SEC? Not even who wins the SEC, right? Because I think all these teams are going to beat up on each other. There's so much parity. I know some think Texas are a little bit too overhyped. I don't. I'm a big Sark guy, and I think that Arch is a better fit in that offense than Ewers was. But who do you like, man? I mean, Georgia has question marks at the quarterback position. It's year 2 for Kalen DeBoer. I feel like it's a good opportunity to maybe buy low on Bama, but who do you like in the SEC this year?
Bama. I had great talk with somebody who's sort of deep into personnel. We were just talking about rolling through some teams, and he just said it simply as like, big bodies still matter in college football. And I look at Tim Keenum and LT Overton on the Alabama defensive line. Look at Caden Proctor at tackle. Even though Parker Brailsford at center is maybe 290, I swear that guy plays 325 with the way he can get off the ball and push people around. I'm pretty sure he was first team All SEC last year at the center position. And I know that we remember, and because Kalen DeBoer had the run with Michael Penix and Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk and like this incredible offense, I think we forget that they had the Joe Moore Award-winning best offensive line as well. And I really think that Alabama is built at the lines of scrimmage to be really, really good at the most important place, even in the SEC, where it feels like everyone's got big bodies. I mean, you go to the second level, Deontay Lawson, that's another guy. I mean, I know he got hurt last year, but that's another senior that because of his talent level, I wasn't sure we'd get 4 years out of when he started his career, to be honest. The secondary grew up. Like, I'm in. Like, my pick is going to be, when we have to make our expert picks in the next couple of weeks on CBSSports.com, I'm picking Alabama to win the SEC. So yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. I think the Texas part is fun because number one, the schedule, like last year, sets up for them to be able to just sleepwalk into the SEC championship game, which therefore means they're probably making the college football playoff no matter what. So when somebody says they're picking Texas to win the SEC, they're, whatever sort of different bet they're putting together, win total over, I'm like, sure, I totally get it. The reason why they're good against anybody, though, like even if you gave them Florida's schedule, one of the toughest schedules in the country, I think that they'd be kind of set to go, because one thing that's been pointed out to me that Steve Sarkisian has that almost nobody else has had is continuity. That offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, head coach, like that has been in line for multiple years. And we got the coordinator shift between Ohio State and Penn State. I mean, shoot, Ryan Day is turning over at least one coordinator every year, and this year both. And when we're sort of nitpicking these teams at the top of the sport, not only has Sark kind of had this thing on a linear trajectory, better each year. How about they set a school record for NFL draft picks and then came back and broke it this past April? So it really has been a build to this preseason number one type status. But the reason why I think it's sustainable is because they've had the same coordinators in place, the same staff together. They're just all aligned. And it's amazing because that is when we saw like Nick Saban's Alabama dynasty really start to crack, was when he couldn't hold on to assistants. At some point it'll happen to Sark. But when we're just looking at this season, I think that continuity is going to matter.
We're talking to the great Chip Patterson right now, college football analyst for CBS Sports, host of the Cover 3 podcast. Make sure you follow him on X, or he's always giving it to you there at Chip_Patterson. Chip, Horvat and I broke down what should be a highly competitive Big 12 earlier this week. Ryan thinks Kansas State is going to take the cake at plus 250. Who is your pick to win this conference?
My pick is Kansas State, but I would take Utah if you're betting on being able to get Devin Dampier going and the new offense, which are also getting from New Mexico. I would totally be fine if you think Arizona State can run it back. What I am not in agreement with is that it's totally wide open. You know, I understand last year we had a team go from 16th in the conference and win it, but this year I do think there are some tiers, and I think that top tier, heck, I might throw Baylor in that group as well, but those top four-ish teams, I really do think that you're going to get your champion and probably both of your teams playing for the Big 12. So clearly the bet on Kansas State is also a great flyer if you want to just go way down the Heisman board. Is you're saying that Avery Johnson is gonna be there, maybe a year late. You know, like there are a lot of people had him pegged going into last season because Kansas State made the decision to say bye to Will Howard. And Will Howard goes to Ohio State, so you think, oh, my gosh. Well, this guy, Avery Johnson, he must really have blown everybody away. You know what Avery did? He peed down his leg a little bit. You know, like he went into Provo and he started making just absolutely mind-numbing decisions. Like he had some bad turnovers and bad spots. He looked pretty good at times. He also got banged up. But you're saying, all right, you got all that out of the way. You studied the tape. You learned from your mistakes. Now you're going to come back and now you're going to hit it. Because don't forget, in 2018, not 2019, but in 2018, Joe Burrow was a perfectly fine, middle-of-the-pack SEC quarterback, a very regular B-plus, above-average player for an LSU team that was, frisky, pretty good, got a good home win against Georgia. He comes back the next year after studying his first full year as a starter, working to improve, and he just absolutely lights the world on fire with one of the greatest individual single seasons by a quarterback. I'm not predicting that kind of performance for Avery Johnson. I just use that as like the ultimate example of sometimes you do need that first year just to kind of get it out there, and then it's when you come back that you truly are able to capitalize on all of your potential.
All right, Chip, we got about 60 seconds left. Give me your true Indiana-like pick this season, a team that is literally going to come out of left field because people that are comparing Illinois to Indiana, it's not remotely the same scenario. Remember, Indiana plus, what were they, 1,500, something obscene. They were like 150 to 1, 200 to 1 to make the college football playoff last year. So what team could be this year's Hoosiers?
If we're going to go straight by record, because remember Indiana was 3-9 the year before, and then they wound up in the college football playoff. The program name won't surprise you, but if Florida State goes from 2-10 to 10-2, then that would be one where you look up, and you know what it would be like? It'd be like when those UConn teams that weren't necessarily great wound up in the Final Four winning a national championship. Like, is it a Cinderella story because an 8 seed won the title? Maybe, but it was UConn, so not really. But if Florida State goes from 13-1 to 2-10 to 10-2, it would be one of the most incredible, dizzying, whiplash boomerangs that we've ever seen in college football. But it's still Florida State, and they do have a talented roster. I just think they've got a brutal schedule, and they're not good enough to get it done. But if you want to give me like a flyer that I could see, especially in terms of sort of that kind of price range, I think it'd be Florida State.